Dear Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is without a doubt one of the greatest heroes in fantasy. I don't think that can really be understated. He is an icon. He and the lightsaber are sort of like a match made in heaven, and he's a character that even the expanded universe didn't know how to kill off. He's sort of like a joke some of my friends made about Uncle Iroh. Like, Uncle Iroh never died, he just went to the spirit world. Luke Skywalker never died, he just became a Force ghost, which we see in Legacy Comics with his descendant Cade Skywalker. But walking out of The Last Jedi, you took the risk. You killed Luke Skywalker. Presumably, if Abrams shows up, if we really drop the ball, and Abrams says, oh yeah, Luke never died, he just went to the bathroom, he can teleport. It's a Jedi thing. It's a Jedi thing now. And I left this theater feeling totally bored. Alright? Usually when I leave a Star Wars film, I'm like, oh boy, what's next? Clone Wars began. Yeah. We're going to, what, it's called Revenge of the Sith? That sounds awesome! And Force Awakens like, oh boy, Luke didn't say anything. That means he's gonna blow up the dialogue box next one. Excited. This one I'm like, it's over. Alright, I'm going home. You did that, Star Wars. You did. And that's what this letter's for, because you did something. You did something that, looking back at this film, was my real issue with. And I had a lot of issues with this film, and not to say that it wasn't an interesting time in the theater. It was interesting, but you dropped some balls, alright? And I had to ask, what was the real problem? What ball really dropped that just got me? Was it the Canto Bight scene being a horribly unwritten argument? No. Was it Rose and Finn's terrible romance, which I think made Rose worse, and I was starting to like Rose? No. Sad for Rose, though. Was it Poe and Holdo? No. I didn't really like Poe to begin with. Didn't hate him, but no. And Holdo, well, if you're going to wear a cocktail dress in a military situation, no. Was it Admiral Akbar's death? Well, that kind of got me. Was it the Porgs? Porgs almost got me. Not gonna lie. I've seen better Pokemon and better Digimon from the bad season, and you all know what they are. Was it perhaps the blue milk? I thought it was, but then I had some Fruit Loops, and I can drink milk again. It wasn't any of these. It was honestly how you treated Luke Skywalker. The almost, and this is a bit much, the character assassination of Luke Skywalker. I get it, though. I get it. The deconstruction of the myth. Luke is a near mythical figure in the Star Wars right now. Alright? Rey even thinks, I thought he was a myth. There are books that talks about how maybe certain things that Luke, quote unquote, did may have been exaggerated. Maybe they didn't happen the way they said. Maybe he only knocked down 5 battle cruisers instead of 20, you know? I hit down 5 and they each hit 2 and those 2 hit 2 more and just sort of went from there. No. You just sort of ruined Luke Skywalker in a very unique way. And it wasn't that he was a broken down, crazy old hermit. It was that he was a depressed, broken down, not so crazy hermit. And I didn't understand where hashtag not my Luke came from, but I get it now. Seeing that film, I understood it. And even on this channel, I used a video with the hashtag not my Luke on it, because I understood it. So yeah, this is my problem. And I don't know where this problem came from, Star Wars, but I am writing this letter to you, Star Wars. Not Lucasfilm, who apparently had no set direction for this trilogy, according to Rian Johnson. Not the lack of transparency between Rian and Abrams about Abrams' mystery boxes, which Rian would be obligated to open. Not Kathleen Kennedy and her apparently the Force's quote-unquote female initiative, which may have alluded to Rey being horribly boring because it's apparently a crime to write a flawed female character. I don't get that. Because, you know, I read Harry Potter. Hermione's an amazingly flawed character, and she's an amazingly great character. But then again, the movies also kind of ruin Hermione's character by making her perfect. So, yeah, this is directed to you, Star Wars, because hitting you, Star Wars, this letter going to you will hopefully trickle down to everyone else. Everyone else will get this. So, my issue with Luke, I think, can be summed up not just with Luke's character, but an assessment of the 3 pivotal characters who deal with Luke in this film. Rey, Kylo Ren, and Okie Snokie. Old Snokie. So, Rey's interaction with Luke Skywalker is a bit interesting here. She's the one who heard the stories, heard the myths, heard the legends of Luke Skywalker. And she meets him. She has this great idea he's going to be the most awesome person. He'll help me figure out who I am, what my role is in all this. And Luke's like, no. No, no. No, no. You're looking for Jake Skywalker. Jake's down the hall. No, no. This was where it got really depressing. Luke is very uninterested in teaching Rey. He's got this idea the Jedi need to end. And maybe we could have had a really interesting argument about how the Jedi are not a force for good. There are channels all over YouTube which bring that up. There are a couple of videos about maybe the Jedi do more harm than good. Luke's trying to present that argument, but he doesn't really do any good work presenting it. He'd rather try to convince Rey, oh yeah, he shouldn't be a Jedi. It's terrible, terrible thing. That's why I'm hanging out here to die. And what Rey's like, well, no, I need to learn how to do this. All right, the Force it's awakening in me. Help me. At least, I don't want to put it to sleep. I just want to keep it quiet. I don't get that. And Luke barely does anything. He's like, can you feel? Can you reach out with the Force? Yeah. All right. What do you see? All right. You see that? Good. All right. Don't go in the dark hole. Don't. Look, I went into a dark forest. You went into a dark hole. If it's something dark, stay away from it. All right. And that's kind of it for like how to use the Force. Any other time, Rey's just, I'm hitting a rock with a lightsaber. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm talking to Kylo Ren. And that's just kind of weird. They never question it. You think Rey would have said something to Luke? Like, Luke, all of a sudden I have a telepathic connection with Kylo Ren? Anything about that? Probably Snoke. All right. I'm going to stand right next to you next time the conversation goes on. That would have been cool, but that didn't happen. So then Rey leaves. Like, Rey's entire experience seems to be her trying to reconcile with the fact that Luke isn't who she thought he was, and then trying to get Luke to be anywhere near who she thought he was. And Luke doesn't want to do it. And even with the reveal, the idea that Luke is just he kind of dropped the ball and says, well, the Jedi aren't good, they need to end. It doesn't make any sense. And we'll go into that more with Luke's character. Going on to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren has the most interesting dynamic with Luke in this film because he has the history. He personally knows Luke Skywalker. All right, and to him, Luke Skywalker's terrible. He's a monster. He eats all your cookies, and he doesn't refill them. He deletes your stuff to make space in the DVR. Never erases his. Yeah, he has every episode of Doctor Who on the DVR. Doesn't even watch him. Just wants him there. Yeah, I would have watched The Big Bang Theory, and another hint why Ben's on the dark side. But anyway, you get the idea that, after we hear the story that, Luke tried to kill Ben, and Ben saw it as, oh, Luke was jealous of my power. He feared me like everyone else fears and hates me. And, okay, that made sense. That was interesting. But we also know that he's afraid of him. He really is. He really is afraid of Luke Skywalker. We see that at the end. Like, that fear and hatred of Luke is what motivated him to, shoot him down, take him out, and then he, went to find him. He missed all the cues that said Luke Skywalker wasn't there. That's the kind of hold Luke has over him. That's interesting. That's a great dynamic. Didn't really go anywhere before that. Snoke was much more of a driving force in a search for Luke Skywalker than anyone else. All right? Because Snoke's like, we have to make sure he doesn't train any more Jedi. If he does, we're in trouble, all right? There's 2 of us and an inconsistent number of the Knights of Ren. All right? And we don't know where they are half the time. So if Luke shows up with 5 Jedi, we're in trouble. All right? Look, I'd have to spend all my time fighting Luke. You got to deal with the students. Luke can teach. But then when Rey shows up, he's like, I thought Skywalker was the light. No, it was you, Rey. It was you. Darkness rises, and light comes to meet it. It was you, Rey. Yeah, Kylo Ren's gonna kill you, and we're all cool. We don't need Luke anymore. But let me read your mind and find out where Luke is. Well, but you didn't before. You just said Luke didn't matter. Well, he matters now. Because I hate to leave him alone. Hate to make him not feel wanted. It's inconsistent. But we are seeing the 3 main focuses of Luke here. Luke perceived as a hero. Luke perceived as a horrible relic of the past. Luke perceived as a vague plot device. Hey, look at that. It's 3 perspectives for the film. Look at that. Maybe there is some genius in this film. Not a lot, but there's some there. Now, coming back to Luke Skywalker himself. And again, this was what I was hoping for. So, real quick. Mark Hamill had said He told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with every decision you've made for my character. That was a dangerous thing to say. And it was only really dangerous because it came from Mark Hamill, the Luke Skywalker himself. And Mark has not been known to bash directors, and he's not even bashing Ryan here. He's just saying I disagreed with him. But he's never been known to publicly voice those things. Okay, we've never, as far as I can tell, heard him talk about anytime he played the Joker, anytime when he played Fire Lord Ozai, anytime he was Master Ericus, when he was Sticky Beard, when he was Skips. He's never been known to speak out like that. So when he said it, it mattered, because not only was this Luke Skywalker, the guy that's always been Luke Skywalker, it's the guy who had no history of doing this. So that was actually a warning. So we went to the theater, and I sat down, and I agreed. And yes, Mark said some other stuff to imply, well, I still enjoyed it. I got to make a good movie. It was attached to me as an actor. And these are all true things. These are all true things. I can't say that Mark didn't enjoy what he saw, because he said he did. And I am willing to believe that Disney and no one else, like no one told him to say those things. But honestly, he probably shouldn't have said that he fundamentally disagreed. It just shows his openness, and the fans respect him for that. But I understood it. Okay? Luke here is hiding out, and he has no real explanation for why he's hiding out, let alone why he's hiding out this long. Mark brought it up himself. I think, Luke did a thing, which was contemplated killing his nephew. I think, if anything, he would have gone out hiding for like a year or two and then come back to deal with it, because Jedis don't quit. And this is technically true. Very few Jedi actually quit. Some of them quit the Order, some quit being a Jedi publicly because of things like Order 66, and they're waiting for the right time to come back. That's what Ben Kenobi's doing, that's what Yoda's doing. They're waiting for the right time to train Luke to become a Jedi, or Leia to become a Jedi, and so on and so forth. So it's a bit weird to figure out exactly what Luke's doing here. He makes this weird argument that, it's time for the Jedi to end. And they aren't necessarily a force for good. They cause more troubles than they solve. And Rey's like, well, like what? And he talks about the Empire. The Empire came to power on their watch. I'm like, well, yeah, but it wasn't like a lazy plan. This wasn't like five regular dudes in a room saying, what if we launched a war on both sides and took over from there by changing the Constitution? Huh? No, that's not what happened. A couple of Sith Lords came in and instantly and furthered the grand plan. Alright, this wasn't like some little Facebook ad here. No. This was years in the making. We manipulated multiple pieces coming together. The clone army establishes bases throughout the galaxy, furthering the Republic's reach. So when it becomes an empire, all the bases are already set. It's a brilliant plan. The Jedi couldn't stop it because, well, the dark side was clouding their ability to see the future. Alright, it's that simple. You talk about, well, they let Darth Vader happen. Well, they didn't let him happen, but they played a role in his creation, like a big role in his creation. But a big thing about Vader and the Empire, Luke dealt with it. Luke came in and said, hey, well, he didn't come in and say, hey, let's stop this, but he did help topple the Empire, he helped redeem Darth Vader. He did the most Jedi things ever, and here he is saying, well, it's time for the Jedi to end. They caused more harm than good, so I came here to die. What do you mean you came here to die? And what do you mean there's nothing else to do? You're saying the Jedi don't have a purpose, and I would agree if you went off the grid and there were no dark side force users on the other side trying to destroy democracy. I'm just saying. You're literally saying the Jedi don't have a responsibility to fix their mistakes, but you as a Jedi fix the Jedi's mistakes. We come to the story of, that Luke tried to kill Ben even for an instant, had the thought, and that's what led to Ben joining Snoke and whatnot. And yeah, so Luke blames himself for it, but he's not willing to take any responsibility for it. It's really stupid and weird. Because he's not even committing to anything. He's like, I came here to die. Well, why don't you just kill yourself? Like, I'm not even trying to, be a jerk here, but you said you've, shamed yourself horribly. You said that, you're not a force for good. You're not going to be able to infect any change. You refuse to have any change. You've closed yourself off from the force. So why don't you just kill yourself? There are a couple of mountains here, just sort of lean forward a bit, die. You got a lightsaber, right? I heard those things can kill people. Why don't you just kill yourself? That would be interesting if Luke was contemplating it, but he couldn't do it. Like I said, I contemplated, but I don't have the courage to do it. He'd rather just stay here and still be connected to the Force, just hear all the people dying. That's his real punishment. I don't know. But the problem, again, is that nothing feels like it warrants enough for Luke to be in exile this long. All right, especially because what he did was so out of character. And people will say, well, he contemplated killing Vader on the Death Star. Well, yeah, he was pretty much in a room shrouded in the dark side. He's being almost smothered by it. And then Vader pushes his one button, which is his sister, his only family, and then he just sort of goes, no, and it's not an instant. It's a good line. It's a good couple seconds. And then he disarms him, and then Luke realizes, I've gone too far, and he shouldn't have thrown the lightsaber away, but I get it. That's a really intense moment. And then here we say the guy that went with all that, who believed that he could redeem his father, a man who killed hundreds, if not thousands of people, he believed he could still be redeemed. But then he sees his nephew like, you know what? He's having some dark thoughts. He might possibly at some point maybe consider killing my sister / his mother. Maybe I should kill him. And that's it. That's it. That's where it makes no sense. Luke's choice for exile never feels like it's anything more than his decisions. Never really the impact of the decisions. Like, he never really mourns the death of his students or possibly someone else. I thought the idea was that Luke's wife was there. Like, let's say Luke married, maybe had a child, maybe not, and Kylo Ren and the others killed them. So Luke is mourning those deaths and his own failing. That would have made sense. The idea that Luke is dealing with shame, loss of confidence in his choice as a Jedi, as a master, as a protector, and that would have been really cool to see him get back on his feet, reignite the legend. But instead, we've kind of deconstructed it so far that even the end, it feels like, that would be a good death for any other Luke Skywalker. But at some point, I guess Luke Skywalker was in The Force Awakens, and at the end he switched out with Jake Skywalker when Rey blinked. I don't know. So I hate to be the one to do this, but let's sort of redo some of the things in this film. And we're going to redo them to still hit the same beats. So, what made Luke Skywalker come to Ahch-To? So our story is going to be that Luke knows about Snoke. They never actually say that Luke and Snoke have met, but I think it's obvious they've met. And this whole idea, like, even in The Force Awakens, it was all Snoke got to Ben. It's not Ben's fault. Snoke got to him, and then Snoke got to Ben. Snoke got to Kylo Ren. Snoke got to Ben. Now it's Kylo Ren. But we have that built up. So Luke is training Ben and the other students at the academy, and he's noticing that Ben's getting a bit dark. He's becoming a bit more sadistic, a bit more egotistical, a bit more angry at things. And he knows, like, Snoke's trying to influence him. He's trying to, like, Ben, calm down. We got this. And he's spending so much time worrying about Ben that he's not noticing that Snoke is getting to his other students and even influencing himself, but not in a real way. The idea that I want for Snoke is like the character Abeloth in the Legacy of the Force books, where Abeloth is able to almost instill Force psychosis in people, drive them insane. And Snoke kind of implies he can do that. He's able to stir conflict in people in a way that I don't think we've ever seen. Sidious just literally manipulates Anakin, but Snoke is literally getting inside on Kylo Ren's head. He's furthering a conflict and a struggle. So let's have that happen. So things are getting worse, and Luke is sitting in front of a fire. Maybe he's just making his rounds through the Jedi Academy. We don't know the age brackets of people here, but let's assume it's a wide age bracket, And you're making sure not only the kids are safe, but, some of the teens ain't fooling around. And as Luke's walking through, he's thinking about Ben, and there's a thought that he should kill him, Like, you can even argue the fact that, Snoke even gave that illusion, and Luke's like, no, I can still save him. Then a voice goes, you should kill him. And Luke's like, where did that come from? And next thing he knows, he's in front of a sleeping Ben Solo with his lightsaber on. And everything still happens the way it does. But we're dealing with the deaths now. We're dealing with the fact that this happened when Luke was so busy thinking that it couldn't get to him that it got to him. We have a bit of arrogance, a bit of overconfidence in his own abilities. That works, and the idea that he doesn't feel he's qualified to be a Jedi Master because he wasn't prepared for that. And then we go a bit further, a few years later, Rey shows up, and Luke just sort of opens him up to the Force to, sort of avoid Rey. He hasn't had to use the Force in a while, and, he's still wearing the Jedi robes, which I felt was weird if your logic is the Jedi have to end, why are you still wearing Jedi robes? Just didn't make sense. So we'll say that Luke's been training, for the most part. Like he's learned all he's had to learn to keep Snoke out of his mind, but he's using the excuse that the Jedi have to end. I'm a terrible student, something along those lines. And when he's refusing to train Rey, he sees the Force ghost of Ben Kenobi, you know, and it's sort of a callback to Empire Strikes Back. He sees the hollow of Leia from A New Hope going, "Help me, you're my only hope." And he turns away from that and sees the Force ghost of Anakin. And then he goes to burn the tree down, and he sees the Force ghost of Yoda and the other two. And Luke just sort of gives like the argument that the Jedi, their hubris has led to things like Kylo Ren and Vader and all this. Maybe it's best we just go. And Yoda just strikes the tree down. Luke freaks out, uses the Force, like maybe waterbend or crush the flames or pull the books out or whatever. Luke undoes it, and Ben Kenobi's like, "Well, why does it matter? Why do you want to save the books now? Why aren't you just giving up?" And Luke goes, he takes a moment and he looks around at the tree, at the graves of his students and possibly his wife, whatever, and he goes, "Because I'm a Jedi." And the ghost of Anakin goes, "Like your father before you." So he goes down there, goes down the crate. Still that cool walk. I love that walk, Star Wars. Keep that up. That was a great scene. Just Luke just walking like a boss. Love it. And this time, instead of just Kylo Ren, there's maybe like one or two Knights of Ren. This is where we get into what I super want. And Luke has already given the rallying cry to the resistance, like he picked up the microphone or whatever and says, "This is Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master here. I'm back to join in the fight." And that rallies people to the cause, or maybe even a huge Force illusion. Even speak to the Force-sensitive kids out there and adults. Like, no, the time is coming. Be ready to fight and whatnot. And that would be cool. That would just be cool because he's projected throughout the entire galaxy. We're going to put the real stress on him. So, Luke and Kylo Ren and maybe a Knights of Ren are in the fight, and they can't touch him. He's just floating. He's got that Sarisu thing going on, the Ataru, and everyone's just afraid. Like, he holds up his hand for the Force push, and everyone just freaks out. Like, Kylo Ren and the Knight just like, oh no. And he even says to Ben, like, "Look, I failed you, Ben, and I'm really sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make up for it, but I can't let you keep going." Like because the idea is that Kylo Ren is actually beyond redemption. Like he's actively trying to cause problems. He's actively saying like, "You know what? I'm going to do all this for me now." I'm going to try to make a better galaxy. That was Vader's logic. Vader had a problem with dealing with loss and dealing with the corruption he saw within the galaxy and being unable to change that to an extent. With Ben, it feels that he's just a whiny kid, and he's made decisions that he can't come back from. And maybe it doesn't have to be that he would try to kill him, but again, the stress of the illusion will still kill him. It'll look awesome and whatnot. And we can even say that Luke helps Rey move all the boulders. So, because we downplay her Force abilities a bit more, as it's to say that only when in the height of her emotional stress is she able to really pour out the real juice. And we can even say that her real strength is resistance to telepathy and mind tricks, which is why Kylo Ren has so much trouble probing her mind and why she has this interesting resistance to Snoke. So that's my idea. I'm take it or leave it. You can't take it because you've already left it. So yeah, Star Wars. So coming into this, bringing this to a close, I get where the hashtag #NotMyLuke came from after seeing this movie. And again, I'm not really excited to see Episode 9. I'm probably still going to go see it because Last Jedi was not uninteresting for the most part. I think I said that in my review, and I'd like to retract that a bit. It's an experience that I think every Star Wars fan should have, whether you love it or hate it, because it will get you thinking. There's some good stuff to see, to look at, to hear. There's attempts at good conversations, and that's kind of it. I'd hate to think that's what Star Wars has been degraded to, where you're just kind of going because it's Star Wars, not because you're excited for what's going to happen next. And I know there are people that are excited, and more power to them. I wish I was excited about it, but I'm just not. Your expanding universe stuff has also been rather lackluster, and even more so because This whole thing with Luke kind of implies something may have happened to him. It's the only real way to explain this sudden 180 on, killing someone who has gone to the dark side. Because even in the EU, Luke's first response to any of this was to extend that open hand to say, "You poor creature, let me help you." To think that he wouldn't do that for his own nephew. I mean, you've created a real separation between the two Lukes, make no mistake. But I don't see how that happened. One of the reasons Luke is always so open to the idea of redemption is because he himself has been down that path. In, I think it was Shadows of the Empire, Heir to the Empire, Luke went to the dark side and his sisters pulled him back. His sister pulled him back, and he pulled his dad back. He knows that there's a chance you can save people, and it's always worth the effort. Here, I don't get that. And your expanded universe stuff has been out for about 2 years, for at least for the comics. Nothing has really won me over that I have to keep reading it. Yeah, that's kind of it. You need to do better, Star Wars. I don't know if you have to sit all of Lucasfilm down, or get Disney to put some people in charge, or maybe Rian Johnson's own trilogy will be a lot better. Maybe without all this extra stuff coming on. Maybe Han, Luke, and Leia were just too big of a thing for what you wanted to tell, because it felt like you wanted to tell your own original stuff, but those three, honestly, they're too big. They're too big. They are a looming shadow that if you're not ready to deal with, they're just going to eat it up, because I still don't care who Rey is. I still don't care what Finn's going to do. I don't like Finn when he's freaking out. But Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, they're 1,000 times more interesting than any of these characters are probably ever going to be. And that's a bit of a shame. But with that in mind, I'm going to end this Star Wars. I will see you at your possibly next interesting book, which for me was Heir to the Jedi, and I've heard good things about the Leia book. But it's kind of it. Sincerely, the Bucket Think Tank, and anyone who agreed with this letter.